We made this.
Welcome to the Right in the Childhood podcast on the We Made This network with your regular hosts, Fraser and Mark. I'm Fraser.
And I'm Mark, hello.
How are you doing today, Mark? How are you feeling? Are you ready for some crossover action?
So, I didn't really dislike any of these three shows, but I'm not particularly excited about the crossover, no.
Should we say up for those listeners who have somehow just jumped in at the end? You know, there apparently were people who watched Infinity War and Endgame without watching any Marvel things. So we do have to bear in mind that there may be people listening to this who have never listened to the show before or might have missed the last three ones.
The last six ones, theoretically, because, you know.
Or like my half.
Yeah.
Like if they might watch yours. So the way this podcast works is we're both wannabe millennials. We're sort of in between generations. So you're on like the Gen X side, I'm on the Gen Z side. But we sort of got that overlapping millennial thing. And what we do is we revisit stuff from our childhood, so like childhood shows. Sometimes we do a bit of TV. Sometimes we might even dip into like games. We've done different types of dipping and childhood.
We have, but it's
nostalgia.
Essentially a show about nostalgia shows. And telly.
Yeah. And for the other person, they come in with it like no rose-tinted goggles. They're coming in with like most of the time seeing the show for the first time, or like they've vaguely heard of it, or they've seen one season or something like that. But for the other person, it was like big, impactful. And most of the time, it's more about the experience than the show itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this time around, I've been building up to something. So a while back at the beginning of this podcast, I deliberately picked some different shows, some Disney animated shows, because they all featured in Lilo and Stitch, and it was like a big crossover thing. It was our...
You do like your crossover.
It was like our Avengers assembled, you know, our Phase 1 MCU sort of kind of deal. And thought,
really?
I'll do it again. But this time I'll be upfront with it and be like, this is going to lead to a crossover. So the last three of my picks were That's So Raven, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and Hannah Montana. And today we're doing the crossover, which is That's So Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
That's So Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
I mean, you've got to get all...
That's not right.
You've got to get them all in the name.
That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana, not Zack and Cody.
That's what it is. That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana.
That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana. Would you have preferred it to have been Zack and Cody than Hannah Montana?
Possibly. I mean, it is... I think we both agree it's probably the weakest out of the three that we've revisited so far. And I even talked about on that episode how I was more forced to watch Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
Well, first time of watching Hannah Montana episodes, I was fine with it. It was when my sister wanted to repeatedly watch the same episode 5 or 6 times, and there was other stuff on like Disney Plus one that we could have watched.
I didn't absolutely loathe Hannah Montana like I thought I might.
John Cena and Dolly Parton helped though, didn't they?
Yes.
Yes, I thought so. And they were like nice introductions into it, so like nice, you know, little bits, you know, to give people something to grasp to.
True.
I guess. No, we might be giving Hannah Montana a bit of unjust there. It was, you know...
Well, it wasn't designed for us, was it?
It wasn't perfect, but nobody's perfect, as Hannah sings about. So usually on this, like, intro part of the podcast, we talk about, like, our childhood nostalgia for it, or, like, our memories for it, but we've already talked quite a lot about these three shows, so I don't want to talk necessarily about the shows. I want to talk about like the concept of like childhood crossovers.
Okay.
So it was a big thing. I used to love it when, you know, your favourite TV shows crossed over, even if it was with your, I guess I kind of like that show.
Right.
But like seeing it, like a lot happened with Nickelodeon. Like Nickelodeon have like crossover movies like Rugrats and the Wild Thornberrys did some stuff. Some of that animated stuff did. Obviously we've done Lilo and Stitch crossing over with all those ones and the excitement from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, do you sort of have memories of your shows crossing over? Did it happen a lot when...
No.
Did you wish it did?
No, I didn't very much. I remember Magnum and Murder, She Wrote crossing over, which They weren't specifically
Is Magnum
kid shows.
like Magnum PI?
Yeah. Tom Selleck with the tash.
Yeah.
That happened.
Magnum
And I
PI.
was trying to think. I'm sure there was another one where
Well,
maybe Ironside crossed over with something, but not kids programs. No.
But you get you grew up with the. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like the Marvel animated shows, like they crossed over, or was that just past
Marvel
you?
Action Hour was. Yeah, maybe they did cross over a little bit, but Marvel Action Hour was like Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk and a few others. I don't remember them crossing over
Do you
either.
remember X-Men and Spider-Man crossing over? Because I know they did. But
Did they?
Yeah, I watched that as a kid. But then that would have been repeats, whereas it was it would have been peak year. Yeah, the Marvel animated universe sort of predates the MCU. They did a load of crossovers.
Did they?
Yeah.
I think it was a bit late for me. X-Men, remember, was the first real hit when it came.
Well, it was
Maybe.
it was X-Men and the animated Spider-Man. I think the animated Spider-Man might have come first. We'll have to check the dates, but
I just don't have any memories of kids show crossovers, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Not at all.
it's all right. I'll bring you a load and see how you feel about them all.
I think I'd have liked it. I definitely think I'd have liked it as a kid. I don't know.
Well,
Say-
we do like to do.
I'll tell you what the big crossover was.
Yeah.
He-Man and She-Ra.
Right. Yeah.
But it was almost designed to launch She-Ra rather than actually be a crossover. So you'd had the series of He-Man. Then they did a film which was He-Man and She-Ra, and then there was the She-Ra series afterwards. But the He-Man series continued too. So it's sort of a crossover.
More of a setup. I get what you mean. So usually we like to do a pitch in this part of the show. So maybe this is one for you. And now you can do your pitch. What would your pitch be of maybe shows we've already done? Because we've done these 3 shows. What 3 shows of the ones you've done so far would you like to merge together in a fantasy crossover? So they don't need to make sense. Dark Season and the Gummy Bears can team up.
Okay. Well, I think it would be a series of Doctor Who. And the Doctor would visit these different shows.
Okay.
Because the Doctor could have easily been Marcy in Dark Season.
Yeah.
That was easily or maybe a Sarah Jane Adventures, actually.
She could be like a companion, couldn't she? I guess?
Yeah. And, Robin of Sherwood. There's no reason why the Doctor couldn't land in Sherwood with Robin of Locksley or Robert of whatever the other one was.
Or the other one.
Beautiful. I'm not going to say Sean Connery. Jason Connery. Beautiful Jason Connery. And, well, there was actually talk of the time of whether or not Doctor Who was going to cross over with the tripods.
Oh, that would have been good. So, Doctor Who's your centre.
I think Doctor Who would be my linchpin, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to visit Doctor Who soon, aren't we?
We are. We're going to do it for our first anniversary.
That'd be cute. Instead of just doing Doctor Who adjacent shows, we're actually going to do Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Which one? Who knows? Well, Mark
knows.
I
have decided.
Well, Mark knows because, he says, I felt like going, maybe I should do the Doctor Who from my childhood, but you've definitely seen Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant. I feel like if anyone's seen Doctor Who, they've seen David Tennant stuff.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah. But we're not talking about Doctor Who. We're talking about the other D thing we're obsessed with, Disney.
You're obsessed with?
No, come on, you got Disney Plus as well. You tell me you don't like those Marvel shows?
I do like the Marvel shows.
There you go. Disney gets you. Whatever you're interested in, Disney will get you.
I like the Star Wars shows as well.
You like Star Wars, do you? Oh, yeah. That's Disney. Oh, you like Marvel, do you? Oh, we've got you. Oh, you like someone singing Into the Unknown? We've got you. Singing into some songs. Animated animals, we've got you.
So this was...
Animated animals that some people find attractive.
What? I'm talking about this bloody Sweet Life of Crapo.
Oh, yeah. No, give it its full title.
That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana.
I mean, That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana, yes.
I mean, that doesn't roll off the tongue, does it?
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't. It's 100 words.
It combines each one. And it's also in the order that they've came out as well. That's So Raven, Sweet Life, and then Hannah Montana.
Right, so this was a 3-parter that spanned the 3 shows rather than its own spin-off.
So it's sort of like Oh no, you wouldn't have. I don't think you watched them, but they were very popular at the time. The CW, when they do their crossovers, one would have been one day, one would have been the other, one would have been
Right.
And I remember it being an event, being like, oh my goodness, wait, like, because I don't know, as a kid, they sort of, they advertise it, but you don't really pay attention to the adverts, just pay attention when the show's on, and you go, you'd shout your sibling over and be like, oh, look, it's on, whatever you were watching. So I remember just being like, oh my goodness, that's that character, like, and then it would be like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a continuous thing, this will lead on to and it was great, and it made the week a bit, exciting, but I can guarantee that they advertised this for months and months and months.
Yeah.
They were going to cross over. But it also shows, like, the relationship and the friendship all the characters had. Like, some of them would appear in multiple shows, as is anyway. And I think there's some jokes towards that. Like, we've seen, like, in the Zack and Cody one, there was High School Musical jokes directed at Ashley Tisdale's character of Maddie because she was
Yeah.
But they were all, you could tell that they were all friends because there was a huge thing as well at Disney Channel Games, which I was always jealous of. It ran 3 seasons, so 3 different summers, and they just basically did a giant sports day, but with all the Disney Channel stars from like all over the world, mainly made up by American ones.
Yeah.
We had one representative of the UK, and I was like, I don't actually remember your show being on the UK, so I don't know how you're here.
That's a shame.
Fair play. But they did have some as well from like Asia, Australia, like all over, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, I remember that and being like, that's so cool, I'd love to do that, but they don't do it anymore, and I think my time being a Disney star might have
gone.
Well, a young Disney star. I could be one of the hosts. I could be Phil Lewis.
I don't know who that is.
He was Hooch in Scrubs as well.
He was Hooch in Turner and Hooch.
No, he wasn't. Hooch is the dog, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he wasn't the dog. Although I tell you what, he could. He's versatile. He was Mr. Mosby in Sweet House Zack and Cody. The guy who worked on the hotel. He's in a lot of stuff though. He rocks up everywhere. I remember seeing him with How I Met Your Mother and being like, oh, it's...
So, right, going back to this, do we have to watch all fucking 3?
Yeah, they're like 20-minute piece. And it makes like a 60-minute... That's usually what we watch. I had to watch that terrible Chimera.
You did?
Nothing happened.
It didn't.
It was awful.
It was...
awful. No, admit it, it was awful.
Someone did watch the rest of it.
Yeah, you watched the rest of it and it was like, oh, it gets better. But if you have to wait...
It had 4 episodes. It got good about halfway through episode 2. No, sorry, episode 3. It got good.
If your show has to get good on like the last episode, you've already lost your audience. They lost me in the first 10 minutes.
They did.
Wow, that was the worst. Did I put that lower than Tripods and Dark Season? Cause
would you?
Yeah.
Wow, lower than Tripods.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like Tripods had some redeeming qualities. It didn't lie. If we didn't see the Tripods, I would have been pissed. Like, that's what Chimera felt.
I'd love to see some Tripods in That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana.
They probably were tripods, but they were probably used for film.
Yeah, true.
I'm still pitching for that show. I know it's been a while since we talked about it, but like 3 tripods, just animated tripods getting about.
It's just Alvin and the Chipmunks with shit, mate.
No, but they're tripods.
Okay.
No, it's DuckTales. Woo! But tripods.
Okay.
I like how you went Alvin and the Chipmunks, though, but I was thinking, because that's an interesting one as well with Alvin and the Chipmunks. So for you, was that an animated TV show?
Yeah.
Because in my head, I just know the rebooted films.
Oh, they're awful.
Which I think are worse than the animated show.
Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. Do.
Bet Disney are good, they don't own that. Or maybe they do now. Who knows?
Doesn't Disney own fucking everything?
They will find a way. That'll be it. Nickelodeon next.
Maybe.
Own it all.
Oh, I don't know. I don't...
No, I think honestly, especially because like of the way Hannah Montana was like, that was proper. That was the worst of the worst. We've got that over with. We've ripped the plaster off. I was going to say Band-Aid, but then I was like, I had to remember, not American.
Not
plaster.
American.
What's the name for it that's not? Like
what?
A brand. Like how like, oh, here's a Kleenex. No, here's a facial tissue. What's the...
Non-branded.
No, but yeah, like, because plaster, is that a brand?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Fabric plaster.
Because Band-Aid is a brand.
It is.
And Hoover's a brand, isn't it?
It is. Vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, vacuum cleaner.
What are we chatting about?
TV shows.
Right, shall we watch this?
I think we should.
All right.
Wait, let me just get my... what do we want to go? Do we want to go on the limo with Hannah Montana, or do we want to ride the hotel things? I've still got mine from when we did Zack and Cody.
For fuck's sake.
Come on,
Fraser.
hop on.
Okay.
We'll get that, and then we'll go hop into the limo with Hannah Montana, and then we'll have a vision of how well this is going to go. So you got all three in there.
Badly.
Smoothly. Wait, having a vision. Thank you for listening to Right in the Childhood. We've been overwhelmed by the love and support we've received from our listeners. If you're enjoying the show, you can buy us a coffee via our coffee website. That is coffee.com/Right in the Childhood. KOFI.com/Right in the Childhood. There's no subscriptions or anything like that, so just buy us a coffee if you fancy. We do this for the love, but it's always good to get brought a drink. P.S. Neither of us actually enjoy coffee, we'll probably spend it on a vegan table.
Rocks it like a puma. Quite.
We're back. We've had our visions. We've stepped out of the limo with Hannah Montana. We've now got on the bellhop sort of thing, and we're back to talk about That's So Sweet Life of That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana. Although that mistake is, I feel, a lot more accurate than the actual title, because it very much is That's So Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, because Hannah Montana barely doing anything in this. She appears halfway through the second episode, and then her episode is like a 2-minute scene with Maddie from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and then it's a Hannah Montana episode. I feel like we were tricked into watching Hannah Montana.
This wasn't what I was advertised. I feel like you made me believe it was more of a crossover than it was, Fraser.
I think the middle episode was very much crossover. No, the first episode was a crossover of two shows. The second one was managed to get all three in a nice way that made sense with the story. So the first episode was a That's So Raven episode from season 4. Then we had a Sweet Life of Zack and Cody episode from season 2. Then we had a Hannah Montana episode from season 1. Give credit to Hannah Montana, season 1 they're probably still finding the feature having that introduced in a Sweet Life of Zack and Cody thing was probably to get more people on it, or just like, hey, this is over here, get more people to watch it. Again, semi-tricking people to watch it, but it worked.
It was odd. It wasn't as crossover-y as I expected it to be. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm used to Marvel films when they proper crossover-y. Civil War was supposed to be a Captain America film, but it might as well have been an Avengers film, you know?
Yeah, but I think the lead was still Captain America. I do think that, I will say the Sweet Life episode, the middle episode, Raven was a pivotal character in the thing.
True.
And Hannah Montana became important towards the end and actually helped, another plot that was being told. The whole issue with Zack and Cody's dilemma of the story, Cody gets dead anxious because Raven has a vision about one of the twins getting into trouble in a certain outfit that Zack never wears. So Cody spends the whole episode fixating on this. So I will say Raven played an important part there, and Raven was also, she was using her fashion stuff that we know about from the show, but also from the first episode of the crossover to try and get London to wear her design. And then at the end, Hannah Montana comes in and she's like, oh, I like that design, London, and that's what turns London onto Raven. It's like, oh no, it's one of a kind. It's
yeah. So the middle one was a crossover. I'll give you that.
I think the first one was as well.
There was no Hannah Montana whatsoever in the Raven episode.
There was That's So Raven and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. That's still a crossover.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't say it's it's not a crossover of all three. That's why I say the title's probably better. That's So Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, especially the first episode. because Zack and Cody play a big part in it. Like, you know, Raven goes to the Tipton. The story is set up in the first episode as well of like, okay, Raven's going to be in the Tipton for some time. Then it's followed on in the next episode. But then it's sort of the story's finished at the beginning of Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
And then it's a Hannah Montana episode. And I'm a bit like, it would have been nice to see Hannah Montana in the Tipton for a bit longer, like seeing more of her interact with London. The twins' parents, Carrie, is a singer. That would have been a nice little... They could have done a duet together at the Tipton.
I think you're right. I think the first two were crossovers, and the Hannah Montana episode was a cameo.
Yeah.
Because the first two, they had their support characters from Raven were only in the Raven episode, and the support characters from Zack and Cody was just in their own episode. Yeah. But the rest of it crossed over, whereas it was a support character from Sweet Life that ended up
just rocked up.
So
at the beginning and end, but
it feels like it was a cameo rather than an actual crossover.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Where was Zack and Cody and where was Raven?
I know, yeah, it would have been nice to see more like get involved, but yeah, it does feel like it very much tagged on at the end, like which again it could have been like they might have, you know, Sweet Life and That's So Raven might have been like, we want to do a crossover, and like they planned those 2 episodes, and then at the same time maybe a producer was like, oh, we've got this new show Hannah Montana, are we okay to introduce her? Because that would have been an easy edit. Like literally it's just a tag scene at the end where Hannah Montana's in, and you can easily just add Ashley Tisdale, Maddie's bit at the beginning and end of this Hannah Montana episode. Because the main focus of the Hannah Montana episode is, I feel like, let's get the Hannah Montana episode out of the way, and then we'll go to the actual 2 crossover. The Hannah Montana episode is all about getting Robbie Ray back on stage, and it's Maddie that inspires that, but anyone could have been that inspiration.
Yeah, it was a nice little cameo, but that's all it was.
And but we do get to meet Roxy, and I did like Roxy. Rocked like a puma. I remembered that.
Yeah,
as soon as she rocked up. Interesting little bit of trivia. So the actress who played Roxy, played Helen from Drake and Josh for an episode, but it wasn't like she did it and then Yvette took over, who would eventually become Helen, the iconic Helen. So the original Helen did 1 episode. Then when they asked about for the 2nd episode, she thought that was just a one-time thing, and she had a show and was like, oh, I can't make it. But then when they wanted Helen back as a season regular, she could do it, so they went back to the... And so you can sort of see, like... Because I've re-watched Drake and Josh, you can sort of see, like, the Helen mannerisms here, and you can sort of see it here. But I'm glad that she went on to do Roxy rather than Helen, because I think she's a better... Like, the Roxy personality here, yeah, it's very similar to Helen's, but, like, I definitely feel like... They both pick their better characters.
And Roxy like a puma.
Roxy like a puma.
I did enjoy Roxy
like a puma. On you.
So that was a perfectly acceptable episode of Hannah Montana. It was fine. It was there. And I didn't hate it. I think I liked it as much, maybe even a little more than one of the episodes when we did do
that we
Hannah
watched,
Montana.
Yeah. That's like, I think that's a good point as well. Like, it did trick us into watching more, but it sort of reaffirmed that thing of, we give Hannah Montana a lot of stick, but it's not actually as bad as...
Well, I think it was because it focused on Billy Ray Cyrus's character, who I find more interesting than the schoolgirl.
Yeah.
That's probably why I liked it a little bit more.
Than Miley. Real name, Miley Cyrus. Character name, Miley Stewart.
Have you seen Boston Legal?
No.
Boston Legal was quite a long-running show. It had James Spader and...
Is that what made James Spader? Because I remember James Spader being like, when he was getting cast for Age of Ultron, I was like, oh yeah, he's this huge guy. And I was like, never really seen him.
It was a big deal for James Spader, but it also had William Shatner in it. And William Shatner played Denny Crane. And Billy Ray's manager in this was called Marty Klein. And when he left the room, he went, Marty Klein.
Yeah.
And Denny Crane's thing was he would walk into a room and go, Denny Crane.
Oh, I like that.
But it was in...
Marty Klein.
Yeah, so you talk. I'm going to look which one came first.
Right in the childhood.
Right in the childhood. I'm going to Google which one came first.
What, the chicken or the egg? Or
Denny or Marty?
Denny or Marty.
Let's have a look.
I feel like it's definitely going to be Boston Legal. I feel like it was a reference to that, maybe.
Boston Legal was 3rd of October 2004. And that's
that's way before Hannah Montana.
Is it?
Yeah. If it isn't, it ages me. I feel like Hannah Montana was like...
Hannah Montana was 2006.
Oh.
So it's possible that they kind of both happened at the same time.
It's also one of them where it's like, it's just a character trait to have in it. Like, he was the perfect sort of like caricature of a agent sort of like thing. And I kind of liked it. Like, I liked him. I thought it was pretty funny, to be fair. I
watched all of Boston Legal. And by the end of it, I still wasn't sure whether it was brilliant or just there.
Yeah.
I felt like that with Friends, though. A lot of those American shows that are just kind of...
they're like comfort, aren't they? A lot of those shows, I think, of like comfort stuff. Like, I was going to mention The Office if I mentioned James Spader. He's great in that.
I didn't even know he was in The Office.
Yeah, he's in it for a bit towards the end. But it's those shows where, like, the first time you watch him, it's like, oh yeah, this is brilliant. Or like, there's moments of brilliance. Like, when you're paying attention, you can see the brilliance in him. One I always go to is How I Met Your Mother. But then there's also times where you can just stick it on and it's, it's a familiar bunch of characters. You can just enjoy it. But then again, saying that with like, there's moments in these shows like How I Met Your Mother, The Office and that, where like if you're focusing on stuff, you can really pick out some incredible detail. And like for me, I've always, whenever I'm going through something in life that I find particularly challenging, I'll watch an episode of How I Met Your Mother where a character goes through something similar.
Yeah.
And the emotional depth in it is pretty cool. And I have to say as well, I think that has been portrayed as well in these 3 sitcoms as well. Like,
yeah, I think that's fair.
I think it's very fair to say that these are sitcoms in a way, because there are moments in it like...
Kids sitcoms, but sitcoms, yeah, definitely.
Where they have tough things to deal with. Like, in the middle episode, like, Cody's got this whole thing about worrying about, the future and stuff like that. And like his mum has this really good message for him, and I was like, oh, it's so it was so impactful. And I was like, those little messages, like we say, if you're looking out for him, they're there. But if you it's also nice to just stick on the background and be like, oh, Billy Ray's singing about his mullet.
Yeah, it was a good song.
It's a cool T-shirt as well, wasn't it? Like business at the front,
party at the back.
Party at the back, yeah. Business at the front, party at the back, and then Paul Lily's like, oh.
That T-shirt must exist.
Yeah, I feel like it had it would need a better print though, because it was definitely one of them where it's like a square print on a white T-shirt. Like, you could do better than that.
Yeah, you could.
No, that shirt definitely exists, and there's definitely people who own it with mullets. And I don't think it'd be a shirt. I think it'd be a tank top,
mate.
Proper
tank top,
proper tank top vibes.
So all 3 episodes just reinforced my opinion of all the 3 shows.
Oh, it's like your separate opinions for each one.
Of each one. The Raven thing, she's entertaining, she's wacky as fuck.
Yeah, Raven Simone just shone throughout these episodes. She's just iconic, and it was a cool little tag at the thing. So she was a producer by this time, and I'm like, it makes sense. But she could just carry anything. She could have a show. She could do a whole episode of a TV show with a broom and it would be entertaining. Like, honestly, which is why it would have been great to see her in the Hannah Montana stuff. That's not me comparing Hannah Montana to a broom, but that would just, like, her added levels.
I felt like this show, like I say, reinforced my opinions, and I like them in this order. Raven, then Sweet Life, then Hannah Montana. I don't hate Hannah Montana as much as I thought I would.
No, that's the thing. I think sometimes a lot of people give it like a lot of beef because it is considered the whole thing of like, oh, it's like when people think of like the bad Disney or like the Disney thing where it's like overacting or thing. Like Miley Cyrus has even done an SNL sketch where it's like Disney acting school and you have to act like so over the top.
I think it's more saccharine when it comes to Miley Cyrus Hannah Montana, because I think the perception, however fair it is or isn't, the perception is that it is one of those kids shows that is really, really saccharine, super sweet, and there isn't anything in it for adults. Whereas out of this episode, I quite liked the whole storyline of the dad and
chose
bit of Billy Ray getting his moment.
Family over career as well and stuff like that. And it was very cute. Like, it's him going back to his rocking days. And like Miley even goes to him and goes, oh, it's so great to see how happy you were on stage. And he was like, yeah, but I was happy when you were there to experience it with me. And I'm just like, that's so cute. Because that's the thing, like, I feel, especially like in my sort of mind frame, is like, I'm living my life now, but I definitely feel like those later on, as soon as you start a family or as soon as you've got kids, that's your time to sort of be like, no, now I'm setting your journey on. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I think I definitely don't want to have kids until like I know I'm in one place, and you can't be Peter Pan and a dad. No. Like you have to have like, no, I've experienced it and now I'm going to experience with my kids. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. I think the ship has sailed for me with kids.
Nah, I think there's still time. Nah. Like look at Billy Ray. He's still doing it here.
Well, yeah, but Billy Ray was about a similar age as I am now in that, and his kids were like 12.
It's a different time. It's a different time though, isn't it? I definitely think there is time, but we'll keep it light. We'll keep it light. We'll keep it light before it goes into like no, we go into like different family styles. Maybe that's when we do Modern Family or something. But maybe that's from the childhood.
So this Raven was quite late, so she was quite old, and the boys looked exactly the same. All right, yeah, you know what I mean. And Hannah Montana was young. Yeah. And that's because of the episodes we'd watched previously.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting, wasn't it? Like
all the Raven episodes were before this that we watched. And the episodes we watched of Sweet Life were around this.
Yeah.
And Hannah Montana
watched one of this and then Future.
Yeah, she was quite old in the last series.
We were jumping around here, there and everywhere.
But it's nice to contextualise when they were all going on at the same time as well.
Yeah, so this would have been like prime my childhood. Like the fact that these three thingy came together. But then it's interesting when you look at the second crossover we're going to do, because again, that's still my childhood, but Hannah Montana is still one of those like shows, but like it's at the latter end and these other ones have been introduced. Yeah, so it is cool. And I have to say the chemistry between the characters, despite that they've, you're not there every week filming with each other, there was a really good chemistry together. And I think it's that thing of you sort of all have, grown up in the same sort of thing. You all got your own show where
they probably knew each other.
Charisma and stuff. And like I say, the Disney Channel games, they would have met each other.
I was thinking more that they might have like shared catering when they were filming at the same time as each other.
And
that kind of thing.
That would have been the thing as well. Like they probably would have been easily like this crossover would have been easily done. Like just popping over. I was like, oh Miley, can you hop in over at the Tipton for a bit? Like we say, Tipton's in Boston and Hannah Montana's in LA, but they're probably actually like 5 minutes away.
They're all sets, aren't they?
Yeah, but it was really cool seeing. I think Raven helped the boys sort of step it up another level, and I bet that was a really good learning experience as well for him, because they took like a back step in the Raven episode, but they were still an important part. Like it was sort of like cameo thing at the beginning, but then they were helping Raven towards the end. Raven's bit was so hilarious with the fashion photographer and then her boss dress. Like we got our typical Raven dressing up as a character and being very thingy, and like it was this French photographer. It's so funny. Yeah. And then her boss came, and then the actual photographer came. Seeing all three of them, I was just like, brilliant. I love this, like...
Speaking French badly is a trope, and it's something that I do regularly.
Yeah.
Like, if I know someone's French, I will always say, Zut alors!
Yeah.
Which, is goodness gracious.
Or Holy Blue, which is... Yeah.
But, I didn't laugh out loud very much during this. You did.
No, so, you are telling a lie. I heard you chuckle.
Like once or twice an episode.
No, it was... Oh, yeah, an episode. Yeah, I was going to say...
Once or twice an episode. And that was across the board, including Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
The one that really got me, I think the funniest thing in the whole of the three was when she was pretending to speak French and she hadn't got a clue and she said Frère Jacques. And I did laugh at that. That did make me laugh.
It's funny stuff. Raven, man, she's killed. Like
she's a clown and she's brilliant at it.
She should do. Oh, I wish like there was more of it. She does. There's a great Disney movie, Cheetah Girls, and she was like the star of that. But then she sort of, I think she was too big for them, so they had to like separate her from the actual Cheetah Girls,
right?
So the Cheetah Girls could have their spot. But yeah, oh my goodness, yeah, Raven-Symoné. I want to see her more. Like she's doing great stuff now. Like she's been more of like. Like a host, like an Oprah.
What's the new one called? Mum Raven or something?
No, it's Raven's Home. But
Raven's Home.
I think it's been cancelled or like not renewed.
I'd watch an episode of that out of curiosity.
Same with like the Lizzie McGuire stuff, and yeah, I think they've both been interesting things to explore, especially like we've done. But there is a spin-off that comes from That's So Raven, which is Corey in the House. We saw a bit of Corey here. And like you say, Corey was much older.
Yeah, he was. He was as big as her mate.
Him and Eddie were like on the same wavelength.
Exactly that.
It was mad. And Chelsea was there breaking the records. We got to meet Stanley, and I remember I was like, oh, it's a Stanley sort of like a con artist, always conning Corey. But he's a really, he's mad. He's like the same age as me now, but like just seeing him there, it's like, no, he's a kid.
Yeah.
But the actor himself, he's been in, most people will probably know him from Role Models, and he's just a hilarious, like, devilish kid that we all know that sort of like doesn't take any of adults, sugar, honey, iced tea. Like, we'll just...
You can say shit.
Call out. I know, yeah, but I prefer not to. It's the choice.
Okay, dear.
Or I'll say shirt and live in a...
I prefer you to say sugar, honey, iced tea than shirt. Shirt is just confusing.
Sugar, honey... No, it's from The Good Place. They have like a censor and it's pretty funny. But yeah, he's like hilarious. He's hilarious in Role Models, and he's hilarious in this. It's just that sort of one where it's like, oh, he's just such a little like nerd, but like, yeah. But yeah, he was great, and it was good to see him. And again, we saw more of the, like you say, the minor characters that we didn't get to see in the 3 episodes we did. Got me to see Esteban,
who you loved and we didn't see in
Arwen
Sweet Life.
as well. Arwen, oh my goodness, he's so hilarious. I think it's because he's got Jim Carrey vibes that I like him, but obviously, his whole thing is that he's crushing on Carrie, and Carrie, it's the big thing for Zack and Cody is like it's her birthday and they do a nice thing. Yeah. There was lovely stuff with the parents in this, and I think it'd be nice as a parent to watch this with your kids, because you're like, oh, they are learning stuff, even if they are calling their parent old for...
Yeah, the old jokes did get tiresome.
But that's what kids would do. That's what kids would do for... That's what I did when I was younger.
Yeah, well, that's what gets tiresome with my scout group. So, I must get it every week.
Yeah.
Bald jokes and old jokes.
Yeah.
And...
Well, that's what kids like, innit?
Yeah, well, but...
And you can sympathise with Carrie. Like,
and it does... I don't mind it, but I'm not sure I want to watch it happening on the telly so much, because it happens to me.
Yeah, you don't want to... It's like, oh no, I've come to escape this nonsense.
Little sods last week. I arrived without my usual hat, and they're like, you not got your hat? You're going to get sunburned? Thanks, I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you get sunburn on the top?
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, it's a terrible idea to let your bald head get sunburned.
I remember, so this would be around the same time these episodes came out. My sister had cornrows in her hair. Yeah, that's a date.
Nice, cornrows.
Right in the childhood. And she got sunburn in between the corn.
Well, in the 90s, when I was watching these shows we talk about, I had the curtains, and I got sunburn right down the middle of the parting, like really badly, like it blistered.
Painful, you suffer for fashion.
Oh, is that what it was? Fashion with my 90s curtains?
Suffering with fashion.
I don't deserve it.
Don't deserve that. Wow.
Mate, those 90s curtains.
Wow. I'm sure they were acceptable at the time.
They were acceptable in the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Look, do you remember those... have you seen the images of PJ and Duncan when they did Let's Get Ready to Rumble? You know Duncan's hair?
Yeah, that was
Mate.
Was he your style icon at the time?
I had very similar hair, not quite long enough to tie back, so it just got in my eyes. Massive curtains going on.
See, that's funny because like you got PJ and Duncan, and you got Zack and Cody. Because I feel like I definitely had the long Zack and Cody hair. So it does go to show that, like, you do find your little fashion tips mostly from television.
Thankfully,
maybe we should have followed Raven more with her.
Yeah, maybe. Thankfully. There aren't that many photos of me when I was young because digital cameras weren't a thing. Yeah. And social media wasn't a thing.
I feel bad now for like kids with like social media. It's like, when Facebook...
You've been relatively private on Facebook though. You've been quite shrewd.
Facebook comes up with some memories where I'm just like, why, Fraser, why? And like, I'm just like, just shut up.
There's one picture of you on Facebook where you've got gigantic sideburns, but they're not sideburns. You've combed your hair down your ears, so it looks like you've got sideburns. And I was like, wow, Fraser, that's a look.
Yeah, I like that. I still respect that look now, though, to be fair. I remember
you do it without it kind of like halfway down your face. You get it right now.
Yeah, it used to be like, because I have ears that stick out, I used to have to try and I used to fixate on getting it. Yeah, my ears stick out. Look, it like
nothing wrong with your ears.
They do stick out. They stick out quite a lot, but it gives me like an elf-like feature, which which helps, but it does make the Drake or the Zack and Cody hair very difficult to do for a long period of time. I used to always get jealous, like, yeah, their hair hides their ears. Mine can't do that.
Mate, you need a mullet. Pie on the top. Sorry. Business on the top. I was going to say, out
of all the hair choices,
you need pie on the side.
Probably. We've actually, they've managed to, in these 3 episodes, do a variety of hairstyles and
Many
hairstyles. But yeah, what did you think of Zack and Cody's models? I thought
it was ludicrous, and that's why it worked.
Yeah. I thought it was great. The
models with slick back hair. The
photographers.
Dated.
She kept turning them around, and he was like, "But you can't see us." And she was like, "That is perfect." It was a good photo though for the magazine. I was like, "Fair play, touche."
This was fun. I don't really feel like I've got that much to say about it. It hasn't changed my opinion of any of the programs. It hasn't changed my top 5. We weren't going to do top 5 on this anyway.
We were going to do something a bit different. So last time we did a crossover of the Lilo and Stitch with the animated stuff. So I was going to ask you first of all, which crossover do you prefer? The Lilo and Stitch episodes or this sort of 3-part event?
Probably the Lilo and Stitch, to be honest with you. I thought that worked more seamlessly because it
was episodes, wasn't it? Really? And they weren't trying to fit in 3 shows.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like if the other 2 shows were more involved with Hannah Montana, it could have been it was more of a 3-part story than a 2 and 1/8.
True.
But yeah, and my other one is ranking each episode, and I guess in a way ranking each show. You've kind of done that with so would it be That's So Raven, Sweet Life, Zack and Cody, then Hannah Montana?
Well, that is where they would fit in my top 10 if we were doing top 10s instead of 5, yeah.
But like episode by episode, would that reflect?
I genuinely think the same.
For me, I think I would swap That's So Ravens and the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody one, because I think the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody one, interestingly enough, the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody one was called That's So Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. The other episodes had different names, like Checking In was the Raven one, and the Hannah Montana one was called something else. It was like Want My Mullet Back or something.
So we should have really guessed that it wasn't.
But like that middle one, for me that one was the top because it was the crossover. It was the crossover I remember as well.
The crossover-iest crossover.
Yeah, it was the one I remember as well because I did have memories of this stuff and I remember it all being at the Tipton. So when we went away from the Tipton, I was like, oh yeah, this is just going to be a Hannah Montana episode because I don't remember any of them visiting Hannah Montana. And I feel like they wouldn't as well. Yeah,
no, they just shoehorned in the girl whose name I've forgotten.
Maddie. Oh, she was your favourite when we watched it last time.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I haven't forgotten it.
Maddie. Never forget it. Maddie.
But that was fun. And I know you like your crossovers.
What did you think of the new characters we met?
Esteban was fun. Arwen I didn't really see as much as I wanted to, but I guess that it's quite busy, isn't it, when you're doing crossovers?
And you're getting so much in, So we met them. Roxy you were a fan of, obviously.
I was a fan of Roxy. Yeah, Roxy like a cougar.
What's it? Puma.
Sorry, Puma, not
Maybe
cougar.
She is like a cougar.
She's quite a cougar.
I could see her getting some... Maybe she could have caused some trouble at the Hilton.
She could.
She could have got an Esteban or...
She could.
I do think probably around the same age.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, and Stanley. I mean, you didn't get to see much of it.
No, I didn't.
These were more triggers from my memory. And that was the thing. It was interesting getting your concept on these characters because obviously I've got the background for him. So when I saw him, memories came pouring in. And for me, I saw a lot. But I guess for you didn't get to see as much.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit sceptical about how much I'd enjoy it. And I did enjoy it.
Yeah. So, which show out of the 3, if you were like to have to watch more of, we're not going to because that would not be an interesting episode. No. But out of the 3, which one do you think you'd explore more?
Probably Raven.
Yeah. I am tempted to go... I'm tempted to go back... I think out of the order that I would go back, I'd probably go back to Sweet Life first, then That's So Raven. Hannah Montana. It would be a I've got nothing else to watch.
There's too much to watch Hannah Montana.
Kind of deal, but... I don't know. It was, Again, like we say, Hannah Montana wasn't as bad as I feel like we were expecting.
No.
Although saying that, I didn't have to watch the episode 6 times in a row.
Ugh. So, Fraser, do you want to know what we're doing next time on Writing the Childhood?
Yeah, I would love to know.
Well, it is our 1 year anniversary.
Oh, we're going to have party poppers and...
Potentially.
Balloons and all that jazz.
Well, I thought we'd do something...
Fitting.
Yeah.
The fitting of the pod.
Yeah, and for, like, the last 12 months, you've basically said that all my shows are...
Wannabe Doctor Who.
Yeah, wannabe Doctor Who's.
Well, that, yeah.
And we talked about Doctor Who at the start of this episode as well.
Oh, so was that a bit of a lead?
It is. We're going to do Doctor Who.
Are we going to be going in a TARDIS?
So what I've decided is my Doctor is Sylvester McCoy. Yes. I did watch some Colin Baker, but I was so young that it was really just kind of like noises in front of me.
So he's your Doctor, and he's also a very good choice for crisps as well.
Right, okay. I did think about doing the movie from 1995.
There was a movie?
There was, the Paul McGann film. It was a TV movie where an American company got the rights for it.
Oh,
I did think about doing that. And I haven't decided whether or not we might look at Colin Baker and or Paul McGann at another point.
That feels weird, though, that there was a movie, because I feel like most of the episodes of Doctor Who are movie length, or like 2 episodes of movie length.
They weren't in the 80s. They were 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they do Christmas specials still then, or was that?
Nope.
Was that when it came back? They did Christmas specials.
Yeah, it was just seasons.
And for me, like, I feel like that's like it's so weird coming at a different perspective.
It's going to be an interesting one.
For me, iconic Doctor Who was the Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant. You know, you get your Christmas specials. You get your series,
no Christmas specials.
Long episodes.
They never ever did any kind of themed like Halloween or anything like that.
No,
they never did that.
Oh, weird.
But we're looking at some Sylvester McCoy Doctor Who, and I'm really, really excited. I don't think you're gonna like it.
Do you think it's not gonna? Do you think it's gonna hold up, or do you think it's just like I'm gonna have? It's so weird this, because usually when we do a show, I think Doctor Who's an interesting one. Obviously, we'll get into it, but it's so generational. It's the perfect one for the pod, and it's the perfect one for the year anniversary. But yeah, it's so generational because everyone has their Doctor. Mine is Christopher Eccleston / David Tennant. So
yep,
seeing someone else's, oh.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Good choice. Who, out of all the Disney characters you've met so far, animated or otherwise, would you think would make the best Doctor? And who would make the best Doctor Who companion?
Raven would make the best companion.
Oh my god, yeah, the antics she gets. She'd remind me of when Catherine Tate was it.
And maybe Billy Ray Cyrus could be a good Doctor.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
As
he's got
Ray.
2 Ecky Brecky hearts then.
As he is, yeah.
Don't tell either of his hearts is Ecky Brecky hearts.
What happens if you told one but not the other one?
I mean, it would be cataclysmic.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Raven she'd be great for the Doctor as well. I'm having a vision. And then you could time travel to that vision, or you could time travel away from it, and oh mate, power team there.
Yeah.
Don't always have to be a couple, I guess, but yeah, power team.
Yeah.
That's so Raven and Billy Ray Cyrus is the Doctor. Oh, and instead of a TARDIS, they can do what is that device called that the bellhoppers carry?
No idea.
The thing from, everyone knows what I mean now.
Trolley.
The trolley, the suitcase trolley. The suitcase mover. They can travel around in time in that. That would be the Disney Doctor Who.
That would be shit.
Disney Who. No, I'd watch that.
Yeah, you would.
I'd watch it more than an American version of Doctor Who.
To be fair, the American version of Torchwood was shamefully bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, Fraser, sign off.
That's it. Sign off what?
The show.
Oh, you want me to sign off your laptop? But
No,
but then the whole show would be gone.
Sign off the show.
We've been Fraser and Mark. This has been the Writing the Childhood podcast. If you have any thoughts or feelings on Disney, we always love to hear them, especially me.
Yeah, you do.
But yeah, like, also if you've got like any cool crossovers you can think of, you were struggling for some from your childhood. I know there's loads from my childhood, but also like if you're someone who's an actual millennial, someone who's Generation Z, if you're a boomer and you've got crossovers, like did Brum crossover with Bagpuss?
Boomers don't listen to this stuff.
They might have accidentally gone onto it. They've gone, I've done...
Brum was like in the 90s. We've had this conversation.
I know, I probably think it's older than it is. I think it's the style. Yeah, what did... okay. But if you've got a crossover from any generation, I'd love to hear them as well, because I do love a good crossover.
Yeah.
I think they're iconic, and, you know, Disney and Marvel Animated led the way for the MCU.
True that.
In a way.
True that. So thank you for listening.
There was a huge meme that was like, Infinity War will be the biggest crossover of all time, and then goes, excuse me, and it showed a picture of That's So Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Okay.
Oh,
wow. Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time. For Doctor Who?
Yeah. Remember, rocks you like a puma. Now, let's go on our time-travelling suitcase carrier.
Really?
Yes. Right in the Crowd is a podcast brought to you by the We Made This Podcast Network. You can follow the show on Twitter @RITCpod. The show's creators and hosts are Fraser Summers and Mark Adams. Follow us on Instagram @SpiderPanInsta and @MarkAdamsHC. The show's logo was created by Carl Bryant, and the theme tune was composed by Colin Jackson Brown. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the kick.
Hello everyone, this is Tony, Network Chief of We Made This. As you know, our podcast network brings together a brilliant assortment of talent who talk about all kinds of pop culture content, such as the episode you just listened to. We're not going anywhere, but we'd love to keep the lights on for even longer if you're able to support our network on Patreon. For just £2 a month, you get your name in lights and the satisfaction of knowing you're helping us produce more great audio. And for £3 a month, you'll get your name in lights, but you'll also get access to an exclusive bi-monthly podcast from the We Made This talent pool on podcasting, pop culture, and, well, you tell us. We'll take your suggestions. For less than the price of a coffee per month, you can help keep We Made This going. Just head to patreon.com/We Made This. That's patreon.com/We Made This. And get the ball rolling.
Elsewhere on We Made This.
Chucky vision.
That's the biggest difference, I think, between all the other franchises, is that they all start, you know, the first Nightmare on Elm Street is Wes Craven's idea. The first Halloween is John Carpenter's vision.
Yeah.
Whereas Child's Play starts off this studio film, almost. And then as it goes on, they give more and more free reign to the creator, and it becomes its own thing.
Yeah, and I think that's more likely what we'll see with the Chucky TV series, which is basically the reason why we started doing this podcast.
Observing the Pattern, a fringe podcast.
I think the complete opposite to seeing yourself represented would be to see yourself overrepresented and just have it lashed into your face that there's a disabled person on the screen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, oh look, this person's gay. We're going to tell you that he's gay every time he's on the screen. You know, that's not okay. Just let them be there, man. That's how it is in real life. They're just there.
Yeah.
You know, and I think she plays it very well.
Pretty Fly, a 90s nostalgia podcast.
No, but she seems so lovely about it. It was like, that's my name, don't wear it out. And I'm like, ha, funny.
That's what mums do. They're lovely even when they cut you down. You know, like even with I'm not angry, I'm disappointed type thing, you know?
I need to go have a serious talk with my
I don't know. I've never met Mrs. Nicholson, so it might be worth exploring that.
Yeah, just be like, hey mum, in the mid-90s, were you sick of my shit?
Did you hate me?
She told me that she loved me, but apparently you fucking hated me, mum, because you said, that's my name, don't wear it out. And you said it so nicely that I thought it was fine. But you lied to me.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.